Dennis Attorneys. Clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the...
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Eagles coach Nick Sirianni says quarterback Kenny Pickett will likely start Sunday's game against the Cowboys. Jalen Hurts is still in concussion protocol. The Eagles clinched the division title with a win. Buccaneers safety Antoine Winfield Jr., tight end Cade Otton, and wideout Sterling Shepard all out for Sunday's game against the Panthers. Right now on ESPN in the Birmingham Bowl, Georgia Tech and Vanderbilt are scoreless in the first quarter. Earlier today in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, Oklahoma gets a touchdown with 6 seconds left and goes for a 2-point conversion and the win against Army.
Shotgun, snap, Hawkins back to pass, still looking, Hawkins under pressure, Hawkins is brought down! The Navy defense gets the stop on the 2-point conversion, and they still lead it 21-20 with 6 seconds to go.
Time with family, laughs with friends, and cash back? Discover's got you covered on the last one. That's because Discover doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cash Back Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
That's right. Go!
Off and running Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Moscona. Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali along for the ride as well. Who says Friday is a slow news day? Not around these parts. Harold Perkins coming back for another year at LSU. The Tigers back on their heater in the transfer portal, picking up Josh Thompson. Oh, by the way, the Saints play a game Sunday that nobody cares about, but we'll talk about it anyway. Sometimes timing just works out. Sam Spiegelman was here to talk about the transfer portal class, and LSU gets a pick. Gets a player. So we'll talk about that with Sam Spiegelman. We'll take a closer look at the Baylor Bears because LSU plays a bowl game on New Year's Eve. And, of course, we haven't really taken a full look at the Raiders yet. Again, not that anybody cares, but we're going to do that anyway in the 5 o'clock hour. Let us begin as we do every single day, though, first and foremost.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
I don't even have my pen. That's a problem. I'll have to get that momentarily. I got one in my bag, Jordan. Thank you. All right. So, sitting at the desk, waiting to come in here. The Josh Thompson news breaks. Look up a few extra things about him. Have to run downstairs for something. Come back up to my desk, and Harold Perkins is coming back to LSU. That's where we're going to start, and then we'll get to Josh Thompson in the next segment. So, Friday afternoon, Harold Perkins announces on his social media that he will return for the 2025 season and play for LSU one more time. And I would like to think this isn't going to be met with any mixed reaction. Like, you should be ecstatic right now that Harold Perkins is coming back. I understand the last 2 seasons with Harold Perkins have not gone nearly to the grand plans that anybody had. Like, understand that, anybody. The coaching staff, Harold Perkins himself, the fan base, the national media, the media locally. It has not gone up to this that anybody had. But we said it when Harold Perkins went down with the ACL earlier this fall, and you were looking forward at how LSU would fix that, would fill that void the rest of the season. And one thing that was consistently said is you are not better without Harold Perkins on the field. Now, Whit Weeks emerged, put together a great season, and it looked like for a moment there that you weren't going to miss Perkins as much as we all thought. But even then, Weeks' production dipped off a little bit. You rotated more guys in at linebacker. You were still good. You were still very, but you weren't, in my opinion, you weren't better there. It allowed everybody to play a little bit more free, sure, but I'm not going to sit there and say that you were better. With Harold Perkins coming back for 25, you are better. 100% and immediately. There were plenty of options on the table for Harold Perkins, and he chose the one to come back to LSU after the last 2 years haven't gone as planned. And look, we'll talk about what the role looks like for him going forward at LSU, because if one thing that we all could agree on, whether it was LSU was better without him this year, LSU wasn't better, LSU's better immediately with him back, whatever we're disagreeing on, potentially the one thing that we absolutely can agree on is it can't go forward into his final year at LSU with the same trajectory, with the same plan as it has the last two, because that clearly just has not worked. But just for conversation's sake, what you're getting back in Harold Perkins is an incredibly versatile defender who is good in coverage, who can run sideline to sideline at the linebacker position, who can rush off the edge, who has totaled 164 tackles in 2.5 seasons. Really, maybe 2 full seasons in all in 3 years. Maybe you'll give him 2.5. 27.5 tackles for a loss, 13 sacks. He's a game changer. He's an absolute game changer. Now, what does the role potentially look like for him going forward? Well, the in-the-box linebacker, that's got to be a thing of the past. That has to be, you're moving on. You have to move on. In order to maximize Harold Perkins in 2025 and maximize LSU as a team, you have to move on from that. I know a lot of people are just going to say, rush him off the edge all the time. Well, no, because you saw his freshman season when he burst onto the scene that eventually, down the stretch of that season, teams schemed him out of that role. And you weren't, especially after that Arkansas game, he was schemed out of that role by opposing offenses, and it wasn't nearly as effective. With a guy like Perkins, you can't necessarily just pigeonhole him into one thing because of the versatility that we just mentioned. He can play in coverage. He can run sideline to sideline. Yes, he can rush off the edge. He can do all those types of things. Where he's best is creating havoc, and that's where Blake Baker's defense is best at. That's his strength. They had moved Harold Perkins to star right before he got injured. I like that spot for him. You have a need there as well because that spot allows him to play in coverage. It allows him to run sideline to sideline. It allows him to bring pressure. You saw Major Burns' pressure numbers go way up this year with him playing in that role. That looks like, on paper at least, where you can maximize everything that Harold Perkins can do. And then you can move him around in certain packages because you have other guys who can also play that spot. You're probably going to see Javian Toviano play that spot a good bit in the bowl game coming up on New Year's Eve. The other thing that it does is look at LSU's linebacker room for next season. I mean, sheesh. Harold Perkins, Whit Weeks, West Weeks, Devon Keys, and then, oh, by the way, you remember how high Brian Kelly was on all the recruits that LSU brought in at linebacker in this cycle? Brian Kelly, and this is how you know, Brian Kelly, in his signing day press conference, he went through each player individually. Normally, sometimes how that'll work is, you'll have questions about, they'll kind of go down the list because you're given a list, and they'll go down the list and ask about each guy. Brian Kelly did it himself in his open. And the guys he talked the most about. Like you could go back, listen to it, and when I cut it up, I noticed this. The longest answers were about the linebackers. They were about Charles Ross. They were about Jaden Breaker. Right? They were about Keelan Moses. They were about Zach Weeks. They were about those guys. You bring all of that in with Harold Perkins, Whit Weeks, West Weeks, Devon Keys, and those 4 freshmen, and you got a squad at linebacker. You have arguably LSU's strongest position group on defense next year at linebacker. And not all of it, but a large majority of that, or a large part of that, I should say, is due to Harold Perkins returning. You should be ecstatic today about this, despite how the last 2 seasons went. Because for Harold to come back, for LSU and him to reach this decision, there's a plan there. There is a plan there to maximize him going forward. Because otherwise, Harold Perkins could have gone to the draft. Go look at everybody's big board. He was still rated like the 3rd best, inside linebacker or in the box linebacker in this draft, even after what you had seen, just because of the ability and the potential and the athletic ability and everything there. There's going to be a plan there. And I think what you're going to see it more closely resembles what everybody thought when Blake Baker took this job, where as soon as that happened, everybody's like, oh, Harold Perkins is about to be an absolute monster. That's the hope now for 2025. Massive news. Not totally unexpected news, right? I mean, the rumblings about this had been pretty strong for, the better half of 2 months, maybe, I'd say. But now it's official. And it's damn exciting. It's just another reason to be fired up and optimistic about the roster construction that LSU has put together for 2025. It fuels the expectation. And ultimately, whether you meet them or not, that's going to be a separate thing. But the expectation belongs at LSU, and this heightens it. And it's a huge, huge win for LSU to get Harold Perkins back. On to 2025, man. You got the bowl game. I get it. On to 2025. Hey, it's going to be a fun offseason and a fun lead up to that opener against Clemson. All right. Speaking of on to 2025, it wasn't just the Harold Perkins news. LSU back on their heater in the portal, grabbing Josh Thompson from Northwestern. We'll talk about it, how it came about, next on the other side. It's Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
AFR.
Speaking of Christmas stuff, if you do still need a Christmas gift for someone on your list who maybe it's hard to shop for, or maybe you have that green thumb on your list, got to get by Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations: Seagonair Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. I want to remind you, there's some great gift ideas at Clegg's. A citrus tree is a great gift that your family, friend, loved one can plant and get generations of value and enjoyment out of. Maybe it's something to enjoy their outdoor space, like tuned wind chimes, which are gorgeous if you've never seen them. They're awesome. They've got bird feeders, hummingbird feeders, or you could always just snag a Clegg's gift card. Easy, stocking stuffer, maybe something for a company Christmas party, something like that. It's Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations, buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you in. Friends at Clegg's Nursery.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com.
We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. Y'all, if you're near, or we are near the end of the year, obviously, get on by and see our friends at South Point Volkswagen. If you're trying to snag a deal at the end of the year, great time to do it. The best savings yet on their most popular models. You can get the 2024 Volkswagen Atlas or Crossport, which is what I drive, for 0.9% APR for 60 months or up to $3,500 customer bonus. If you prefer the Tiguan, 0% APR or up to $2,500 customer bonus. Get by South Point Volkswagen, airline just north of Highland, or online to see all the deals at southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction?
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
All right. Welcome back in. Friday edition of AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Scone. Scone back with us on the 2nd. So back in, he'll be back in 2025. It's shaping up to be a really good 2025 for LSU football. Long way to go, but man, led the show, obviously, with Harold Perkins announcing his decision to return. If you want more on that, go to louisianasports.net. Have a full write-up. We have a full write-up up there, of course. No paywalls, always free, louisianasports.net. Harold Perkins was some really good news for LSU today. Also on Friday, LSU got back to their winning ways in the transfer portal. You may recall, on Thursday, when we looked at the transfer portal and we looked at, it had kind of gone a little radio silent for LSU, right? Fear not, because everyone was looking for offensive line, specifically tackle, and then safety. And we talked about LSU potentially trying to play the long game there, and one of the guys at the center of it was Josh Thompson, transfer from Northwestern. And at the point we spoke about this on Thursday's show, all signs were pointing towards Josh Thompson to Tennessee. Pete Nakos, among others, had logged expert predictions for Thompson to land at Tennessee. And that steered our conversation to, okay, where are you going to go from here? And that's where we got into them playing the long game and players that could still be participating with their team, whether it be in bowl games or the college football playoff and whatnot. Well, in the transfer portal era, everything moves really, really fast. And come to Friday, LSU's not only right back in it with Josh Thompson, they make a major move. They're in the lead. And then, call it 10, 15 minutes before we come on air, Josh Thompson commits to LSU. And you're just right back on the heater that you've been on since the portal opened back the first week of December. So a little bit on Josh Thompson and the needs that he fills. One, go back and look at his background. This is a guy who is the sixth-rated offensive lineman in the transfer portal. He has played in 31 games at Northwestern with 21 starts. Now, the caveat there and why Thompson is so appealing to LSU, not just that he's a veteran, not just that Pro Football Focus rated him the number 2 offensive lineman in the entire Big Ten this season, although that helps, but not just because of those things, it's the versatility. So 31 games, 21 starts. Of those 21 starts, 11 of them came at right tackle. The rest of his games played came at either left or right guard. So he's extremely versatile, has played on both sides of the line, and can fill multiple needs for you. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say, yeah, but you're looking for a left tackle. He played right. The size lends more towards guard, right? I think Northwestern has him listed for this season, 6'5", anywhere from 310, 315, in that range. Definitely lends you more to guard. But this is a guy who did play right tackle in Power Conference football in a trenches league like the Big Ten. That's a skin on the wall. And it's a really good one. And then also, well, yeah, you got holes at guard too if you're LSU. Because Garrett Dellinger, Miles Frazier, they're both out the door. Thompson is a guy, as I said, with plenty of skins on the wall that can come in and fill multiple needs for LSU. What makes the most sense? What's the best course of action? And what options are still available for LSU here? Well, when you look at the bowl game, you're going to get to evaluate Tyree Adams at the left tackle spot. Miles Frazier's going to play right tackle. It's kind of what we've seen throughout all those videos, right? We broke down who they had starting, along the offensive line. It was Adams, Mubenga, Chester, Bordelon, Frazier. So you're expecting Frazier, veteran, to man your right tackle, and you'll get to evaluate Tyree Adams. And Tyree Adams was a guy who they were very high on, who was supposed to be the next in line, who was the 6th offensive lineman all season. Maybe he has a great bowl game, and that pole vaults him into a spring and a summer where he develops, and he can be your guy. You'll also get a look at Weston Davis at some point in this bowl game. And that's another one they're really high on. Former 5-star tackle that you flipped out of A&M's class. You'll get a look at him. Maybe he has a great day and pole vaults himself or accelerates himself into the spring, into the summer, makes a big jump, and that's your answer there. Maybe you move Josh Thompson, whether it be to right tackle or even trying him in at left. Or maybe you go back into the portal and you get another one. We had talked so much about the number that they wanted to settle in on 15, right? And said, well, keep in mind that number can change because it already has from 12 to 15, and it might change again because now with Josh Thompson, you're at 14, and you still need a safety. And when I say need, you must go get a safety. But that does not, you being at 14, you still need a safety. That does not diminish, that does not, deflate anything that you've gained here by picking up Josh Thompson. He fits the mold. He fits the trend that you have stuck to in this portal class. Immediate, plug-and-play, day one guy. Josh Thompson is not coming to LSU to sit on the bench. He is coming to start on the offensive line somewhere. For that, I'm certain. Because you don't make the financial and NIL commitment that LSU did in order to get back into this race and beat Tennessee out for him without him coming in to start somewhere on the offensive line. And he makes you better. Immediate, plug and play, day one guy that makes you better. It's what they have consistently gone after in this portal window, and it is what they have consistently landed in this transfer portal window. And they did it again with Josh Thompson. Huge get and a huge coup to get him away from an SEC foe. I get it. You don't play Tennessee this year. It's fine. But that's going to be a team that's competing for the same thing that you are in 2025. And that's a spot in the college football playoff. So to get him away from that team, also a huge win for Brian Kelly, for Brad Davis, for the LSU Tigers. Now, the next question, and we kind of touched on it there a little bit, is where do you go from here if you're LSU? Well, I'll be very interested to see if they go back into the portal and try to get a no-doubt slam dunk starting left tackle. Or if they are pleased with what they've seen from the younger guys and are willing to go into spring that way. Because what you don't want to do, you don't want to have to go be looking for somebody in the spring portal window, because that's really expensive. And while LSU's got funds right now, and Josh Thompson is an example of that, spring portal window, really, really expensive, and the options aren't nearly as highly touted. You have the big left tackle from Washington State that's in the portal that has taken a visit to LSU. We'll see if that goes anywhere. And then safety. I mean, that's you're just going to continue to look at safety and say you must go get a guy who is an immediate plug-and-play, day one starter for you at that position. And the other thing I'll throw out there is tight end. You still need somebody there. You don't need necessarily the immediate plug-and-play guy. I don't think that guy's out there anymore. But you need another body at tight end, because you have J.D. LaFleur coming in, and then it looks like they're going to have to move Trey'Dez Green. At least they are moving Trey'Dez Green back for the Texas Bowl to tight end. You get Bauer Sharp. So for sure, you have Bauer Sharp and J.D. LaFleur. If you want to move Trey'Dez Green back to tight end, that'd give you 3. But you still need another body, especially if you're just sitting there with 2 scholarship tight ends. You absolutely need another body there. So, look, that number of 15, you can blow that out the water. That's changing because of everything that you still need. Maybe it's closer to 16 or 17. But one thing's for sure, portal edition number 14, Josh Thompson, huge get for LSU. And we talked about it on Thursday as well. And we'll kind of punctuate with this. Even when they went into that little dry spell and you see Tawfiq Bayer go off to Colorado and not LSU, and you missed on another safety, right? After Zachariah Poyser goes to Miami, and that's 2 guys you were in on and definitely a player for, and you missed on both of them, and you're still waiting for that tackle. You get Braylon Moore on the interior, but you're still waiting on that tackle or another offensive lineman, and it went kind of radio silent and sat right here on Thursday and said, don't fret, because you have no reason at this point in this cycle to not trust this coaching staff that they're going to go out there, do what it takes to get players to immediately improve the team, because it's what they've done the entire time. Every single promise that they laid out to this point in the December portal window, they have kept, they have met. Every single one of them. And they did it again with Josh Thompson. Just when it looked like they were out of it, they made the moves necessary to get themselves back into it and win the battle. Josh Thompson, the newest LSU Tiger for the class of 2025 in the transfer portal. LSU sits at 14 with more to come. All right. We are going to grab a break. That's a fast and furious start to this show, y'all. I mean, fast and furious start to this show. We have to go around the SEC. We still have to touch on Saints Raiders out of obligation. Sam Spiegelman from Rivals will be here at the top of next hour. We'll get his thoughts on Josh Thompson, where LSU goes in the portal class as a whole. Again, sometimes timing just works out, and it's great that we're going to have Sam Spiegs with us there as well. We'll take a closer look at the Baylor Bears and kind of touched on it a little bit in that segment, but I want to look at the potential for LSU's depth chart in the bowl game as well, because you had another announcement that a player is going to play in the game. That was Greg Penn earlier on Friday. what does LSU's depth chart kind of look like? Because you've had a lot of exodus in the portal, but you've also had plenty of guys say they're going to play. We'll do that straight up 5 o'clock as well. Glad you're with us. It's a Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Don't you move.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan, injury attorney.
AFR.
Attorneys, if you've been injured and it's not your fault, do what injured people in Louisiana have done for more than 30 years. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. 888-8888. It's all 8s. 888-8888. I don't even need to give you the area code because no matter where you are in the state, it doesn't matter. Just dial 888-8888 for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Gordon does an awesome job, man. He's a great person. They've been so invested in our communities with all the charitable and service work that they do. They give back into the communities that they represent. No matter what time of year, if it's the bike giveaway for kids around Christmas time, if it's the laptop giveaway around back to school time, if it's the charitable work they do during October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they're always involved in the community. We tell you all the time, of course, about the G team and what Gordon's done with NIL and the opportunities that he's afforded student athletes. Just a great, great community partner. If you've been injured, you need representation, go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Quick reminder about Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. They're the best. If you are, gentlemen, thinking about popping the question and you're thinking about where am I going to go buy that diamond, I want you to consider this. There are places that will sell you man-made lab diamonds, but what are you buying? mean, it's according to its makeup and characteristics, sure, diamond. But is it going to hold its value? Like, is that the way you want to say, I love you, I want to spend the rest of my life with you? Go to Lee Michaels. Go to Lee Michaels. Walk in the door. Experience the thing I talk about all the time, which is the Lee Michaels experience. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry with 10 locations. Baton Rouge, 2 locations in Baton Rouge. New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, Mississippi, Texas as well. 10 locations across 3 states. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Thrill her, gentlemen. Thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry.
All right, back here on a Friday edition of AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Let's go ahead and kick the segment off. I do have a note on a local, former local product from Louisiana. Decided on his future in college football. Actually, a couple as well, but one in around the SEC, one not. But let's start here with around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee junior running back Dylan Sampson has declared for the 2025 NFL Draft. Made that announcement Friday morning on his Instagram account. Breakout junior season. Earned him SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Led the league in rushing with 1,491 yards and rushing touchdowns with 22. Ranked nearly top 10 in all rushing categories nationally. Of course, 4-star prospect out of Dutchtown, so Prep just down the road there in Ascension Parish. In his 3 seasons, 35 games, 2,500 yards, and 35 touchdowns. Dylan Sampson off to the NFL.
The Florida Gators.
Florida linebacker Shamar James has also declared his intention to enter the 2025 NFL Draft. 3-year player, spent his entire career in Gainesville with the Gators. All 12 games started and played in 2024. 64 tackles, 4 TFLs, 2 sacks, an interception, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, all of that. He is long now for the NFL.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas getting a transfer from one of their rivals. That's right. Former Missouri wide receiver Courtney Crutchfield committed to Arkansas Thursday evening. He's an Arkansas native, so heading back home. Spent just 1 season up in Como. Played high school ball actually in Pine Bluff, as we said. 75th overall recruit in 2024. That's according to On3. Just had 2 appearances this season with Mizzou, so now we'll head home and play for the Hogs.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
South Carolina lands a commitment from transfer cornerback out of Ball State, Miles Norwood. He'll have at least 1 year of eligibility remaining. The at least is because, well, he was supposed to exhaust his eligibility here and played junior college ball. So, you know the new rule. Transferred from junior college to Iowa State and then to Ball State in 12 games with the Cardinals in 2024. Made 38 tackles, 2 of them for a loss, and defended 10 passes.
The Auburn Tigers.
And last but certainly not least, Auburn offensive tackle Percy Lewis has entered the NCAA transfer portal. Lewis spent just 1 season at Auburn after transferring from Mississippi State ahead of the 2024 campaign. In his lone season at Auburn, did start 5 games this season. 6'7", 355 pounds, a massive human being. Has played in 25 games with 8 starts over his college career. He is Lewis, the 17th Auburn player to enter the transfer portal this offseason. There you have it. That is around the SEC. Again, this is a Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. No Terrio today. Terrio doing what plenty of y'all are still doing, celebrating the holidays, man, out there. This is an odd time of year. I went to sleep last night, and I could have sworn it was Monday. And I was just like, gosh, I can't believe it's only Monday. And then I thought to myself, no, you fool. It is Thursday. Tomorrow is Friday. Good thing I remembered that because I had to produce off the bench this morning. They'd have been in a bit of a pickle had I not shown up for a 7 a.m. airtime there. But, we got it all done. But, yeah, just weird time. Everyone always jokes about that, right? It's like, you never know if it's, what month it is, what day it is at this time of year. Your boy was feeling a little bit of that on last night when his head hit the pillow. But it's Friday, and we're here leading you into your weekend, and we're doing so with a plethora of news. If you missed the start of the show, you missed the first half hour, you missed a lot. Harold Perkins is coming back to LSU. Josh Thompson, transfer offensive lineman, has committed to the Tigers. If you want all of that, of course, AFR On Demand, presented by Brett Goff, the AFR LSU YouTube channel and podcast, AFR LSU. Search either of those in your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. You can get all the content there. We'll have those videos up shortly. Before we hit a break, kind of teased it a little bit there. One local product made his decision about his future in college football. That was Dylan Sampson. Another one is Eli Holstein. Of course, Eli Holstein prepped at Zachary, started his career at Alabama, then transferred to Pitt, had his first full season starting, his first full season playing at Pitt, and had a really nice year, and he's announced that he's going to return to Pitt. Obviously, a guy that highly touted as he was coming out of high school was going to get transfer portal offers. Sure enough, those came. Eli Holstein, though, sticking with Pitt, will return. Had a really, really nice season for the Panthers when healthy this year. Of course, the injuries really, really bogged him down, but when healthy, 62% completion, over 2,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions through the air. He also showed the ability with the legs. 81 carries for 328 yards and 3 scores. So an average of 4 yards per carry. Just something interesting I thought pass along there, just with the local tie and somebody that, LSU fans and whatnot very familiar with throughout his recruitment and things of that nature, because for a long time there, it was LSU or Alabama. Started at Alabama, then went to Pitt, and he will remain at Pitt. So, look, local guy, like to root for him. You wish Eli, especially when they don't play in your conference, you wish Eli Holstein health and another great season at Pitt, and you'll see where he goes from there. That's a big get for the Pitt Panthers, obviously coming back as well. All right. Due here for a break on the other side. When we come back, we'll close out hour number 1. The ratings numbers are in for NFL Christmas Day on Netflix, and they shattered some records. But why it was actually the best of both worlds for 2 leagues, the NFL and the NBA, we'll dive into that, of course, on the other side. And we still got a jam-packed 2 hours left to go here on AFR. We haven't even touched on the Saints yet. We have 3 guests still to come up: Sam Spiegelman, Zach Smith, and Adam Hill. So you want to keep it locked and loaded right here. Friday edition of AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. We're back with more next.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, 2 beautiful hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark downtown, the Renaissance Southtown right there on Bluebonnet. And when it comes to hosting your event, both the Watermark and the Renaissance are perfect. The Watermark is a gorgeous, elegant spot in downtown Baton Rouge. That wedding reception, that smaller gathering, that meeting space, they can do it. They've kept so much of the history and tradition of that iconic building while modernizing it. The Gregory is a great restaurant inside of the Watermark as well. And then, of course, the Renaissance Hotel, Southtown, right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. It's more modern. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel property at the Renaissance Hotel, where they have meeting space that can accommodate up to 500 people, 7,000 square foot of meeting space, perfectly located right off of Bluebonnet and I-10. It's the Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels in Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Always a pleasure to tell you about our friends at the Williamson Eye Center. Check them out online at williamsoneye.com. They've got locations all over the greater Baton Rouge area. On the Baton Rouge General Campus, you turn off a Bluebonnet onto Picardy, you make that right, and then right there at the stop sign, the building on the right, the first 2 floors, that's the Williamson Eye Center. State-of-the-art dry eye center, and it's full service. Of course, they have their state-of-the-art surgery center there where you can have your LASIK or whatever surgical procedure you're having, but they have your standard annual eye exam as well at the Williamson Eye Center. Learn more at williamsoneye.com. The thing I tell you every day is take the advice that I was given and change your life. To give yourself the gift of sight is absolutely incredible. If you're someone like me who spent your life with contacts or glasses, there is a way to be done with it forever. williamsoneye.com. Go see Dr. Blake Williamson for that free consultation. 924-2020. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com for the Williamson Eye Center.
All right, putting a button here on hour number 1 of After Further Review, and boy, it has been a really, really, really busy hour number 1. One thing that I enjoy, it fascinates me a little bit. I like looking at TV ratings when it comes to sports. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. I just, for some reason, I find it interesting. One of those reasons is, and again, this might say something about me more than anybody else, I find it very entertaining and quite honestly just very humorous to go back and look and watch how badly the NFL just stomps anything that tries to go head up against it. And this is not a shot at the NBA because the NBA had a very good day on Christmas Day, and we're going to get into that. But even their numbers being up like some 80%, it's just dwarfed by the NFL because we love the NFL. Like, it's a very passionate love affair that the United States has with the NFL. And apparently the rest of the world, too, when it comes to Netflix as well. That was going to be an experiment, though, right? The NFL games going on to Netflix. Thursday Night Football on Prime had worked very well. But we all looked at that Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight, saw all the problems they had with the stream that night, and wondered, okay, are they actually going to be able to pull this off? How is it going to be on a day like Christmas, taking something off of, cable television, for lack of a better term, and moving it solely to a streaming platform? Well, turns out we were all really stupid for asking that question because the fact remains, if the NFL is somewhere, we're all going to go find it and we're going to watch it. Those games on Christmas Day were horrible. They were not good. Both blowouts. The Chiefs beat the Steelers 29-10. That game averaged averaged 24.1 million viewers, according to Nielsen. The Baltimore Ravens did an even bigger number on the Houston Texans, both on the field and in the ratings. 31-2 was the final score of that game. 24.3 million average viewers for that game. All in all, the NFL and Nielsen said 65 million U.S. viewers tuned in for at least 1 minute of those two NFL games. Then you throw in the Beyonce concert that I didn't even know was happening until I saw it on Twitter. And that's where viewership peaked for Ravens-Texans. 27 million over the course of a 12, 13-minute halftime show from Beyonce. Those two games are the most viewed stream of an NFL game in history. Beats everything on Peacock, beats everything on Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Those two games on Christmas Day beat them all. And those two games are the second and third most streamed events on Netflix ever. Trailing only Mike Tyson, Jake Paul from last month, which also says a lot more about America than it should. But anyway, and I say, it's nothing for the NBA to bat an eye at. They were never going to win that fight because nobody's ever going to win that fight. And again, that's why I just, find it humorous to watch the NFL just stomp everyone out under their boot when you try to go head up against it. They did it to the college football playoff. They did it to the NBA. But the NBA actually won big on Wednesday as well. So the total number for the NBA 5-game slate those 5 games averaged 5.25 million views across ABC, ESPN, and its other platforms. That's up. Let me make sure I get the number correct here. Hold on. That's up 84% from 2023 for the NBA. A lot of that is because all 5 games were on ABC compared to just the 2 last year, but you look at Lakers-Warriors, 7.76 million, peaked at 8.32. It's not the 24 million that the blowout of Ravens-Texans did on Netflix, but that's still a huge win. What it shows is that both can coexist and have success on the same day and set new highs for their respective league, and that's a good thing. Because for a long time, the NBA's owned Christmas Day. And anytime the NFL wants to not play on there, which they're not ever going to do again, by the way, you'll probably have 3 games next year because it's on a Thursday. But what the NBA showed is they can survive. So, man, that's awesome. Those numbers for that Lakers-Warriors game, it was the most watched NBA regular season game in 5 years. And that's with the NFL doing 65 million across 2 games on Netflix. Incredible. And those numbers are going to grow, by the way. We'll get the global numbers on Tuesday. And for what it's worth, Netflix released on the 26th, Thursday, yesterday, that 200 countries tuned in. So those numbers are only going to grow. Yes, America has a love affair with the NFL, but apparently so does the rest of the world. They win again. They'll keep winning. And while it was a great day for the NBA, I'll still just keep laughing at 65 million average, or 65 million total, 24.3 million average, looking at 5.25, because it's just hilarious. But a great day by the NBA. It's awesome to see that both of them succeed. You know what the NBA should do? You know what would get them even bigger ratings? If they move the start of the regular season to Christmas Day, like everybody's been asking them to do for, I don't know, pretty much my entire life. I'm 31 years old. That's a long time. Do it, and you'll get even bigger ratings because it'll be your opening day. You'll still lose to the NFL, but it'll be huge numbers. You should do that, Adam Silver. It'd also make a lot of people happier. All right. We're going to grab a break, but first, a word about Evermore from Scone.
Brought to you by Evermore, all-natural, great-tasting water. When you uncap a bottle of Evermore, that's the first time the product touches air. It's incredible. It's a natural well. It's natural artesian water. It's a well. It's on the North Shore. I went to their bottling facility. When you pull up on the left, you'll see the well is right there. They've drilled deep into the earth. They pipe it out right into their filters and their filtration system. Nothing is added. Nothing is extracted. It is completely pure from the earth water. So if you want a healthier option, if you want a healthier lifestyle, something healthier for your children, maybe you're an athlete that wants a superior form of hydration, Evamor, EVAMOR. If you notice, go to their website, you'll see Dak Prescott is one of their chief spokespeople. I mean, starting NFL quarterback is vouching for it. Check it out at great local retailers or order on their website at EVAMOR.com, Evamor.com, Evamor.com.
All righty. Steamrolling towards the end of hour number 1. Putting a button on that here. When we get back, we'll have obviously a Sports Center break. And then Sam Spiegelman from Rivals. We will just flip the conversation right back to LSU recruiting and LSU transfer portal. Get Sam's thoughts on Josh Thompson, that addition for LSU, as well as just kind of their portal class as a whole, more from a national perspective. We'll kick off hour number 2 there with Sam Spiegelman. And then Zach Smith covers Baylor for the Waco Tribune. He'll be along for a closer look at the Bears. Sports Center next, and then hour 2 of AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Parish Restoration. Parish Restoration. I've told you before about Mold Zero Pure Restoration. Now, Parish Restoration, all the same thing. Patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. Parish, Jim Woodworth, who I've told you about for years now. Jim Woodworth merged with my guys Richard Tilley and Ryan Terrio, all under the Parish umbrella. So it's Parish Restoration, patented non-toxic dry fog. It's been actually pretty remarkable to hear some of these stories of people have put out to bid for remediation contracts, and they get the number from Parish Restoration, and they'll call and say, is this number right? And they explain why. I say it often. It is a more cost-effective, more efficient way, and also of remediation, and also because it's a dry fog, you're not cutting sheetrock or pulling out carpet or taking things out of your home or your place of business. They spray the fog, they let it dwell, it dissipates, you're back in free and clear and mold-free. It's Parish Restoration. ParishBuilt.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Sports Center.
I'm Doug Brown with breaking news. ESPN's Shams Charania reports the Sacramento Kings fire head coach Mike Brown today. The Kings are 13-18. They've lost 5 in a row. Quarterback Kenny Pickett will start when the Eagles host the Cowboys Sunday. Jalen Hurts is out and still in concussion protocol. If the Vikings can beat the Packers and the Lions in their last 2 games, they'll be the number 1 seed in the NFC. ESPN's Kevin Seifert.
I think that they view that as a pretty fortunate turn of events, even though it's 2 hard games. It's the games they need to be able to win to be that number 1 seed, a place that I don't think too many people thought they would even be competing for.
Kevin Seifert on Greeny. Free agent infielder Gleyber Torres will sign a 1-year deal with the Tigers. ESPN's Jesse Rogers says that deal is worth $15 million. Right now on ESPN in the Birmingham Bowl, just 8 seconds to go in the first half. Vanderbilt leads Georgia Tech 14-10. Navy comes back from 14 down to beat Oklahoma 21-20. The Sooners went for 2 and the win with 6 seconds to go and didn't get it.
Guess what? Discover's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You heard right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts. You're stuck in the past. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. Learn more at discover.com/credit card.
Matt Moscona.
That's very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour number 2 off and running here after further review. Friday show presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Moscona. Scone's back on the 2nd, so you'll see him in 2025. Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali along for the ride as well. And glad to have you along for the ride, whether you're getting off of work or you're still enjoying the holiday and trucking your way through the new year, or to the new year, I should say. We are very pleased to have you with us. Well, kicking off the 4 o'clock hour, we were going to talk some recruiting and some transfer portal. And sometimes timing just works out. About 15 minutes before I walk in here to go on air, LSU pops for Josh Thompson, the newest addition into the class. Sam Spiegelman from Rivals on Twitter at Sam Spiegs, good enough to join us. Sam, we appreciate the time. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Absolutely. Let's just start right there with Josh Thompson. As I said, sometimes timing just works out perfect. Portal edition number 14 for LSU. Fills a need along the offensive line. What do you make of the get for Brian Kelly and the Tigers?
I think that they're trying to win the offseason. That this is the new offseason in college football, and LSU right now on the Rivals transfer portal rankings has the number 2 class. I know that fans of the Tigers obviously somewhat frustrated after national signing day from the high school side of things, losing key commitments from Bryce Underwood and a few other out-of-state targets. But they've backed up their offseason plans. They have fully invested in adding weapons at all their positions of need, rather, through the transfer portal. Like you just said, 14 additions. Some of these are literally the best players that are available in the transfer portal. We're talking top 2 or 3 players at their position. After losing Will Campbell and Emory Jones, they're fortifying that offensive line that has been so stable under Brad Davis since he returned to Baton Rouge. And they ended up surging late with Josh Thompson. They haven't had to play from behind for too many of these targets. They've been so red hot. This is just another big addition to another important position for LSU as they're looking to gear up for a big run next season.
Sam, he's obviously very versatile. That's been one of the things that everyone's kind of said about him, and Brian Kelly preached that in talking about what they were looking for on the offensive line. He's played both guard and tackle. Is there a spot you see him maybe profiling at better in the SEC when he gets to LSU?
6'4", just under 300 pounds. That seems like an SEC sort of guard, in my opinion. But, under Brad Davis, they've taken guys that have been from the high school ranks that have been the top guards in the country, and like Emory Jones, and he's shifted out and played elite right tackle. Will Campbell obviously has been a lockdown offensive tackle since he arrived in Baton Rouge, and he might shift inside to play guard. One of the benefits is LSU has a long history, just based on the way that Louisiana recruiting has been over the several decades. They have guys that come in and play multiple positions, and with Josh being an elder statesman, might have a chance to play tackle, but the way that their class is coming together, they got some young guys that should see some action at tackle, maybe sooner rather than later, and they can build from the inside out, and that might fit what they want to do on offense under Coach Sloan and Coach Hankton.
Could you see tackles still be in a position that they might actually go back into the portal for here in this cycle?
The way that things have been going, I could definitely see that. I don't have a great pulse on how they feel about their young tackles, but guys like Weston Davis sitting there, continuing to learn, guys eager to see the field. If they deem it a need, I guarantee they're going to hit it in the portal. But so far, it looks like they feel good about some of the young guys they have. Maybe some of the guys that have been developing behind the scenes, getting some playing time behind Emory and Will over the last couple of seasons, and it might be their time to kind of step into those roles. And by fortifying some of the other spots around them, getting a nice veteran core to return, gives those young guys a chance to step in without too much pressure on them.
Sam Spiegelman is our guest of Rivals on Twitter at Sam Spiegs. Let's shift it more now a little bit back to the big picture of LSU's recruiting class, and I have a couple guys, transfer class I should say, and a couple guys individually to ask you about. Sam, they went into this cycle with a lot of needs. I mean, everyone had their list because you saw guys enter the portal and both, they're out of eligibility and moving on. And LSU honestly kind of had to remake whole position groups. Which group do you think they've done the best at remaking so far early in this portal cycle?
I feel like I would be neglecting what they're doing at wide receiver. I mean, I wouldn't have said that was the biggest position group of need going into this offseason. But that seems to be the position that I feel that they not only hit and address, but address in a significant manner. Obviously, you're losing guys like Kyron Lacey, but you bring back Aaron Anderson, who took a huge step forward, and you were surrounding him with some proven guys, and the kid from Oklahoma, whose name is, of course, escaping me,
Nick Anderson.
Yep. Barry Brown from Kentucky was among the top high school receivers in the country. He was a top 50 player with blazing speed. And with Nussmeier returning, with Aaron Anderson returning, adding in these key pieces like Nick Anderson, Barry and Brown, that adds speed to the perimeter, speed up down the seams in the middle of the field, and then you have to take a flyer on someone like Destin Hill, who might just find his comfort level being back home in Louisiana, getting coached by Coach Hankton, who was the first to offer him when he was Georgia's wide receiver coach before they won a national championship. So sometimes putting these guys in the right setting with talent around them, they're obviously looking to be a faster offense in 2025, and with a returning quarterback, you can see that they think that the area that they could have added to most is the offensive side of the ball, and they're going to come out guns blazing with a gunslinger like Nussmeier and those receivers with top-end speed like that next year.
You mentioned Nick Anderson there, obviously, off the top, and he is kind of the crown jewel, if you will, of that receiver room right now, of the haul they've gotten. Everyone here kind of looks at him and says, okay, you got to go be the true ace, the true number one. Is he that guy?
He has been, and he's got a history of doing it. First of all, LSU lost someone that they thought would eventually develop into that guy in Shelton Sampson, who kind of fits the same mold as Nick, and I could be wrong. I think they were in either back-to-back recruiting classes or the same one, but they fit a very similar profile. Nick is a big, outside guy at 6'3", almost 6'4", almost 200 pounds, but he's a long strider. He can win 50-50 balls. He can give you a red zone threat, but he can also, take those tough routes over the middle and work outside the numbers against some of the elite corners in the SEC, which, LSU sees them. He saw them last year at Oklahoma, didn't really stop his production, and now he's going to do so at LSU. I don't know if he has to be the number one guy because of the weapons around him, but he certainly has that potential to fit that prototypical X receiver that can be the alpha, and you surround him with complementary pieces like Aaron Anderson and Barrion Brown that if you leave open or in single coverage, they're going to take the top off the defense with one play. And that opens up holes in a big way for your running back as well as in the passing game.
A couple more for you, Sam, kind of turning back more now towards the class and what's next. We talked about could they go back in and get tackle. One position here that everyone's still starred, bold, highlight, asterisk, next to, whatever you want to do, is safety. And they've been in it with a couple guys, haven't gotten them to campus. What else is out there right now for LSU at safety potentially in the transfer portal?
It's definitely, with some of the departures that they've had, going into the offseason as well, before those departures, you can easily point to the secondary as being one of those position groups that needed upgrading. I know that, obviously Corey Raymond returning to Baton Rouge, he's kind of shifting around the personnel to try to find corners that fit his mold and safeties that not only can play back deep, but can also fill a very important role in the SEC, and that's your nickel corner position, kind of a jack of all trades, and that's what they had last year. I don't know. I really don't know where they're going to turn at this point. We were still seeing portal guys, pop in every day or so, if this is a nonstop situation. But it's certainly an area that I know is circled on their board for obvious reasons, not only depth, but you're looking for a starting quality safety to come in and really play a role next year. You have to also remember this is the initial transfer. We're going to see a lot more guys get into the portal again in the spring, looking for homes, and they're going to try to see if it was safety or do they have to get maybe two more position groups to address.
Heck, not just the spring portal. Even after teams finish their bowl games, they got the 5-day window. So it's a long way from over. One more position group to kind of ask you just some broad thoughts on it, and that's edge. I mean, LSU had to replace a lot there with Swenson and Jones being out of eligibility. Obviously, Deshaun Womack transfers to Ole Miss. And they brought in Patrick Payton, Jack Pyburn, and Jamari Butler, 3 top 20 edge players. What do you make of the work LSU did at rebuilding that room?
Yeah, well, between Coach Peoples and Coach Davis, when they, not saying these are direct quotes by any means, but, if you look at the LSU defensive front and you compare that to defensive fronts that you think are going to win SEC championships and compete for playoff spots, that's not the LSU defensive front that you're used to. Bo Davis, coming from Texas, had a couple of first and second round picks off the board, and those were guys with either elite size on the inside or elite quickness. LSU didn't have a lot of either one of that last year. For Coach Peoples coming in from Missouri, where he had a bunch of guys come off the round on day one and day two coming off the edge. LSU, obviously, they had a couple of their guys, injured for most of the season, but really not the production that you would have expected from guys, based on their high school rankings or just because of injuries. But now you just see that this was an absolute focus, as it should be when you're trying to compete in this particular conference. It starts on the offensive and defensive lines, and going out and getting someone like Patrick Payton, someone like Jack Pyburn. Those are two of the best in the country. Jack just did it for Florida, and LSU got to see him do that up close and personal. Payton, coming from Florida State, obviously kind of fits the profile as a day one draft pick, and getting the last one?
Jamari Butler.
Originally from Mobile, Alabama. So in a way, this is a bit of a homecoming for him. Obviously, lives 2 or 3 hours away from Baton Rouge. Those are quality gets to not only add starting level guys that can come in, play a veteran role, play from day one on, but also add a little bit of depth so that You're not relying on these high school kids to come in and have to play right away. They can kind of earn their spots, and we just saw Harold Perkins coming back.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to be even more individual looks against offensive lines with number 7 back in the building.
It's been a good day over there at Football Ops. Josh Thompson, Harold Perkins. I mean, that all happened within like 10 minutes of each other. So they've been having a good day over there on Skip Burtman Drive. Sam Spiegelman, national recruiting analyst for Rivals. He's on Twitter at Sam Spiegs. Sam, we appreciate the time as always. Happy New Year, and I'm sure we'll catch up in 2025.
Appreciate you guys. Happy New Year.
Absolutely. That is Sam Spiegelman, national recruiting analyst for Rivals. Give him a follow on Twitter at Sam Speaks. They're on a heater, and it continues, and they're not done. Talked about it there. Safety. Will they go back in and get a tackle? All of that remains to be seen. They have a lot to sort through, but one thing's for certain right now, as we sit here on December the 27th, 2024, the arrow is pointing up for LSU in 2025. Will they reach the potential that they can? Well, you have to go out there, mesh, make plays, and win football games to do that. But they're certainly setting themselves up for that type of success. All right, we're going to grab a break. We're going to come back on the other side. Saints injury report, final one of the week. It is out. What is it going to tell us about this game versus the Raiders that I know you're all just itching to watch at noon on Sunday? We'll talk about that next. Zach Smith covers Baylor. He's still to come at the bottom of this hour, in about 15 minutes or so from right now. It's Friday's AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Stay here.
After further review.
If your New Year's resolution as a business owner is going to be to finally become more efficient within your business, to help that bottom line, to help your productivity, let Glow Resources help. Yes, they specialize in skilled blue-collar labor. So if that's what you're looking for, they can help you find the people you need, meeting all the requirements for the specific job that you have. But at Glow Resources, they also have their professional placement division. Y'all, it's so much fun when I go over to Glow Resources. I mean that seriously. Like, one of the things Jareth Knockan has done amazingly well is just building culture. They are fun to work with. When you walk into the office, you'll start just by understanding the design. He had the interior decorator come in and we're like, just go ham. Do what you think would look great. It's pretty amazing. There's a story behind everything in the office. People love to work there, and they love to do business with you. If you need help finding the right people, you need Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Remind you about Michelle Weighing and Measurement, Michelle.com with 30 offices across 11 different states. If you weigh or measure something, Michelle sells, services, rents the products used to weigh and measure. No matter where you are, you can ship your precision measurement devices to Michelle, and they'll calibrate them for you, send them back, or they'll just come to your office, pick them up, and bring them back. They can also do on-site calibration. If you have equipment that can't leave or you don't want it to leave, they can come do on-site calibrations as well with their mobile calibration labs. It's Michelle Weighing and Measurement, online at Michelle.com. Louisiana-born, Louisiana-owned and operated for 76 years. They've continued to grow, expand their footprint, while maintaining that local ownership, local feel, handshake deals, face-to-face sales. It's Michelle Weighing and Measurement. They're also hiring. Check out the careers tab at Michelle.com. Again, online at Michelle.com, Michelle.com.
All right. Moving along here on a Friday edition of AFR. Musso in for Moscona. Scone is back on the 2nd, so you'll hear from him again in 2025. Or you could honestly just go read his stuff at LouisianaSports.net and Locked on LSU and all that stuff, because he actually doesn't take vacation. He just keeps working when he's not even here. But anyway, that's just Scone. The Saints, they are going to play the Raiders on Sunday in the Dome because the schedule says that they have to, so they will. Not expecting a good game between the two teams because both of them are bad. You're looking at a Raiders team that is coming in here 3-12, who just actually probably won a game they shouldn't have against the Jacksonville Jaguars last week. And look, we all know what the Saints are as well. You had a 7-game losing streak. You've been constantly injured. You fired your head coach, and you're heading towards a rebuild. But knowing the Saints, their front office, they probably actually aren't heading towards a rebuild. We'll find out in the offseason. But again, they will play a football game on Sunday in the Dome, close out the regular season there. Hopefully it's a great crowd. And it could be the last time you see certain Saints in the black and gold. You're going to have, obviously, changes in the offseason. So for those reasons, watch the game, show up, support the team, all those things. When we look at the actual game itself, we'll start with the injury report. And as it has been often for the New Orleans Saints this year, it stinks. It's bad because you've just had backups in constantly. Two things that we knew that Darren Rizzi confirmed on Thursday when he met with the media were that Eric McCoy and Lucas Patrick would be out. The injury report reflects that. Neither practiced all week. McCoy with the elbow, Patrick with the knee. They are out. The two that you were really looking forward to here to see were Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara, because they are still insisting that they are going to play again in this season and that they will make a return. I don't really understand why. Well, let me rephrase that. I understand why Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara want to play. They are competitors. They want to win every game that they participate in. It's hard for guys like that to just sit there on the sideline and watch their team and know there's nothing that they can do to help them. Alvin Kamara is chasing the first 1,000-yard rushing season in his career. There are a lot of reasons why those two want to play. What I don't understand is why the Saints are even entertaining the idea of them playing, because there is nothing left to play for in this season. And at some point, I would like you to just kind of, be the adult and say, hey, guys, no, you're not playing anymore. Anyway, both are out again this week. Shocker. Derek Carr, left hand, didn't practice, which also means he's still in the concussion protocol, out. Spencer Rattler will start. He's been with the first team all week. We'll see if he can turn in anything different than his previous 4 starts, because so far those have just been one and the same, and it's been a really tough watch. Alvin Kamara with the groin, didn't practice all week. He's out once again, so there you go. Kendre Miller, Jamal Williams, Jordan Mims, and will you see Clyde Edwards-Helaire? That is something I'm very intrigued by. It's a guy who spent a lot of time facing the Las Vegas Raiders in the AFC West when he was with the Chiefs. What can he offer you from that perspective? And also, is he fully ready to go back out there? Selfishly, I would like to see that. Running the football is going to be paramount for the New Orleans Saints in this game, because that is when their offense has been at its very best, is when they've been able to run the football. The problem is, part of their struggles on offense for the New Orleans Saints has been when Eric McCoy is out. And Eric McCoy is out again. And you've just had a turnstile on offensive line all season long, whether it be center, guard, regardless. The interior of your offensive line has just been a freaking turnstile. So, we'll wait and see there. Good news, really, on kind of everybody else. Chris Olave is somebody that everybody's obviously watching. Was a full participant in practice all week with the concussions. He is listed as questionable. But, man, I just find it hard to believe that Chris Olave is going to run out there and suit up against the Vegas Raiders. That, to me, is an even bigger, just let him dress but take the helmet away from him thing than, like, Carr and Kamara, because you're dealing with repeated concussions. And there's been questions about his future in the NFL. Just him being back at practice this week fully is a win, and I think that's awesome for him. But I don't see any reason to play him in this game or in the season finale against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he is listed as questionable for what it's worth. Rico Payton missed with an illness. He was the only addition to the transfer portal, so he did not practice on Friday, but is listed as questionable. He was there the other, the rest of the week, as screwed up as the week was and the schedule was for the New Orleans Saints. So Carr, Kamara, McCoy, Patrick, all out. Rattler will start. You'll have a team effort at running back led by Kendre Miller. Maybe you see Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And Chris Olave, questionable practice fully, but not expecting to see him. For what it's worth, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, questionable. Nathan Shepard, questionable. Juwan Johnson returned to practice fully today, been dealing with a foot, no designation for him. Peyton Turner been dealing with an ankle, returned to practice fully on Friday as well, no designation for him. With the Vegas Raiders, the only player designated out, really the only player with an injury designation, is guard Jordan Meredith. He's been dealing with an ankle, did not practice all week, and is out. Other than that, the Raiders, call it what it is, full strength. Obviously no Gardner Minshew, no Max Crosby, which is also huge potentially in this game. But outside of that, full strength for a team coming in who is coming off of a win. Again, one that maybe they shouldn't have had, and is a favorite, a road favorite in the Dome versus the New Orleans Saints. They'll play the game out of obligation. I'll give you a prediction on the game out of obligation to close the show if you so choose to stick around for that. I hope you do. Really just to hang out. Maybe you don't want to hear about the Saints, but really just to hang out. I would love for you to hang around for the rest of the show. Right now, we'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll flip it back to LSU. They face the Baylor Bears in Houston in the Texas Bowl on New Year's Eve, 2:30 p.m. kickoff. We'll get our final look at the Bears. Zach Smith joins us for that next here on AFR.
After further review.
AFR is brought to you by Action Industries, Action, INC.com for Action Industries Incorporated. Had a great lunch a few weeks back with my buddies over at Action Industries. It was Chuck, Chad, Jordan, Erica. We had a great lunch, actually over at Curbside right there on Government Street. And we talked a ton about turnarounds. The turnaround season is March through October. You know that. But it's so important now that if you know you'll have turnarounds coming, I mean, it's inevitable when you have turnarounds coming around the springtime, that you keep the advanced turnaround group front and center. At Action Industries, the Advanced Turnaround Group, still the same great company that's been around for 42 years at Action Industries. But the Advanced Turnaround Group is a division of Action Industries where they have assembled a core group that has built their career around turnaround execution. It's over at Action Industries.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
LSU and Baylor in the Texas Bowl over there in Houston. It'll be the first meeting between the Tigers and the Bears since the 1985 Liberty Bowl. That one was won by Baylor. Of course, LSU fans hoping for a different outcome here in 2024. To get a closer look at the Baylor Bears, we welcome on Zach Smith of the Waco Tribune and Herald. He's on Twitter at @ByZachSmith, ZACH, if you want to give him a follow for all your Baylor needs. Zach, we appreciate you, as always. How are you?
I'm doing great. I actually just pulled up to Houston. I'm looking at my hotel room at NRG Stadium, so getting pumped for game day.
Here we go, man. It's practically here. Let's start kind of there. The vibe around Baylor. You kind of have to ask that, I feel like, with bowl season in general this year, because, you know, each team kind of feels differently about the bowl game that they're in. What has the vibe been around Dave Aranda and the Bears as they've prepared for this game?
I mean, it could not be higher. Vibes could not be higher. You know, ending the season like they did on a 6-game winning streak. You've got an offense led by Sawyer Robertson and Bryson Washington that is just kind of hitting on all cylinders. And so after the season that they had last year, Dave Aranda was kind of rightfully on the hot seat, if you ask me. And, you know, now he's off the hot seat, and they're here, and this is kind of a reward for everything that they've done. So, this is the vibes are very high right now.
What changed for them down the stretch and allowed them to go on that 6-game winning streak?
Really, I mean, I think this might sound simple, but it's just confidence. They knew what they had over the first part of the season. They knew kind of the team that they had. It was just about putting 4 quarters together. And, even in the start of Big 12 play, you have that really devastating loss to Colorado. You have a loss to BYU where they almost came back and beat BYU. And those are 2 teams that could have been in the Big 12 title game very easily. And so finally, once they got to that bye week, once they beat Texas Tech kind of handily in such an emotional rivalry game, it was a homecoming for Sawyer Robertson, all of these things, it was just a confidence thing. And once they got that confidence, they were unshakable.
Yeah, man, that Colorado game was brutal. I mean, that was an absolutely brutal,
oh my gosh,
brutal win. Might have had a little bit of a vested interest in that one late on a Saturday night, and that was brutal. Zach Smith is our guest. All right, we've mentioned Sawyer Robertson here a couple of times. I can look at the stat sheet. I can see the season that he's had, but what are his strengths? Like when Sawyer Robertson is in the zone, what does that look like for the Baylor offense?
He is one of the most accurate passers I have ever seen, and he can sling it like to a T, like dropping dimes like you wouldn't see. And, he is, like I said, he is one of the most accurate passers I've ever seen. And in this offense specifically, Jake Spavital, he's a former Texas State head coach. He coached Johnny Manziel a little bit over at Texas A&M. He fits Jake Spavital's scheme to a T, and, he can sling it, and he's very deadly accurate. And I know he's been battling some ankle injuries, and so he can also run the ball if he needs to. But like I said, he's been battling some ankle injuries, so that's been a little hampered over the last half of the season. But, he's just a dude that is accurate and fits the scheme that Jake Spavital wants to run to a T.
1,000-yard rusher in the backfield as well in Bryson Washington. I mean, Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, first freshman in Baylor history to top 1,000 yards, correct?
Correct. And
okay.
He set a whole bunch of freshman records. The other guy that he passed is now a junior, Richard Reese. He's also on this roster, so they've got plenty of weapons back there.
Was this expected from Bryson Washington this year, or did he kind of come out of nowhere?
That's a good question. He was hurt most of last year, so they saw him kind of in spurts. They saw him in practice, and he didn't play the first 2 games, I want to say, something like that. But he comes from a high school here in Texas, Franklin High School, it's just a legendary kind of slot T, run the ball. So he set a whole bunch of high school records. So I think when they recruited him, they knew that this was possible. But maybe I think if you gave Dave Aranda truth serum, it would be a little ahead of schedule, if you ask me.
Talking with Zach Smith, beat writer covering Baylor for the Waco Tribune and Herald. He's on Twitter @by Zach Smith, ZACH, if you want to give him a follow. Zach, let's flip sides of the ball, because obviously, look, we've kind of made it through this entire conversation without mentioning Dave Aranda, and you're on radio in Louisiana, and everyone here loves Dave Aranda and reveres him for his time at LSU, specifically in 2019. And every memory that we all have of Dave Aranda is one of the saltiest defenses you will ever see. And yet we've talked nothing about offense, because when you look at Baylor, the defense hasn't necessarily looked like a Dave Aranda defense, that at least that we're all familiar with. What has kind of been the crux of their issues on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I think salty is a really good word for it, because I think if you look at the front 7, I think that's a pretty salty group. That's a pretty hardy group. But the secondary, the safeties, the cornerbacks, that's really been an issue. I mean, even going back to that Colorado game that was so devastating, it was kind of a breakdown in the secondary that led to that Hail Mary.
Yeah.
And, even in some of the games, Iowa State, West Virginia, I can just rattle them off. They give up a ton of yards through the air, and they're really susceptible in the secondary. So that's really kind of their weak spot.
What about in the pass rush game? Because, a lot's been made all season of LSU's offensive line and pass protection and allowing the least amount of sacks in the country. But Will Campbell, Emory Jones, they're not playing in this game. Garrett Nussmeier has not been under pressure a lot this season, but when he has, it's led to some interesting decision-making. How does Baylor feel they match up in the pass rush game with a different LSU offensive line fielding in the Texas Bowl?
Really well, I would say. You've got two linebackers in the middle, Keaton Thomas and Matt Jones, who are both had over 100 tackles. I believe they're the first pair of Baylor linebackers to have 100 tackles in a season since 2012. So it's been a minute there, and they're kind of. Dave Aranda has been calling plays on the defense for the first time since he was at LSU, and those two are kind of reaping the benefits of that. And then on the defensive line, you've got a guy named Trevin Ma'ai. He's a transfer from Oregon, and he's really a kind of an edge rusher. He can wreak a lot of havoc, and he's a big, bully up front. So I think going up against LSU, I think that's where they're going to succeed. Especially over the second half of the season, that the front seven was salty. They got a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and I think that they can continue to do it. They're out to prove something against LSU, and that's where they want to kind of make their hay.
A couple more for you, Zach. Your time very much appreciated. Special teams, the third phase. How do the Bears look there? Are they confident if a game comes down to a kick?
Well, it depends on who you ask. Isaiah Hankins is college kickers. I know it's college kickers, right? Isaiah Hankins, he's hit some big kicks. I think back even to last year, he had a game winner at UCF. This season, he had a game winner against TCU, which is a big rival for Baylor. But there are some other times, even extra points and some closer field goals where they've brought in the other guy. They brought in a true freshman to kind of fill in his space. So I don't know. The kicker, it's a little up in the air. But other than that, I would say Baylor has one of the better special team units maybe in the country. Palmer Williams was a first-team All-Big 12 punter. Josh Cameron, who's also the leading receiver, was a first-team All-Big 12 punt returner, and he almost brought one back against Texas Tech. So I think, there are some nerves when it comes to maybe kicking a big field goal. But other than that, Baylor's got a huge advantage in the special teams game, in my opinion.
All right, last one for you here, Zach. We'll get you out of here with this. Baylor's the favorite in this football game. If the Bears get it done, what's their blueprint to victory against LSU?
I really think you're going to see a lot of points. So I don't know what the over/under is at this point, so I think it's going to be. I would take the over, but I think you're going to see a very heavy run game with maybe some big plays. I would think that Bryson Washington rushes for 150 yards and maybe a touchdown, and Sawyer Robertson throws for 3, and they're all 40 yards or more, something like that. I think it's going to be ground and pound and then beat you over the top. That's how Baylor's going to do it. And then if Baylor has any chance, they need to slow down Garrett Nussmeier, and I know that there's still some dynamic receivers and some dynamic playmakers that LSU has. So I think that limiting the big plays for LSU is going to be difficult, but that's how Baylor is going to win.
Tigers and Bears, Texas Bowl, 2:30 p.m. New Year's Eve. Zach Smith, good enough to join us here from the Waco Tribune and Herald. Again, he's on Twitter @ByZachSmith. Zach, we appreciate the time, man. Enjoy the game, and maybe we'll catch up again down the road.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Again, that is Zach Smith. Man, it's interesting because I was wondering when I asked him kind of like a blueprint for Baylor, where he'd go. Points, I agree with. Points are going to happen in LSU Baylor. The total right now is 59.5. Baylor, for what it's worth, has moved all the way to a 3.5-point favorite. I was curious if he'd go Sawyer Robertson or Bryson Washington. He went Bryson Washington, and that he'd need to rush for 150 yards and a couple scores, things of that nature. Bryson Washington has had a fantastic season. He's been a great back. I don't see him going for 150 yards against LSU's defense. LSU, since the South Carolina game, when they allowed Rocket Sanders to go well over 100 yards, LSU has allowed one running back. That's the caveat. One running back to go over 100 yards again the rest of the season. And that was Ulysses Bentley from Ole Miss. Every other running back that LSU has faced, they have held under 100 yards. That includes Le'Veon Moss, like Justice Haynes. Like, they faced some really good backs in that time, too, and held them down. And you've got basically your defensive line. You have a full-strength linebacker room. Like, the guys who have held those backs down have done that. And if, like, for me, I really thought he'd go Sawyer Robertson there, potentially. But if it's on Bryson Washington, I tend to like LSU's chances there because they've been very good at stopping running backs in the rush game. The quarterback is where the problem has obviously come into play, as we know that. But good stuff there from Zach, and food for thought, man. That's going to be a very interesting matchup. We'll talk plenty about that more on Monday when we put a button on Texas Bowl prep, give you a final pick and prediction. LSU versus Bryson Washington is going to be a fascinating matchup, as will LSU's offensive line versus that Baylor pass rush as well that we talked about with Zach. All right, we're due for a break, but first, we'll get Matt's thoughts on Optimize.
We're brought to you by Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com, generatorpeople.com. You want a Generac automatic home standby generator? Let me rephrase. Of course you do. So why should you go with Optimize? 2 reasons. Number 1, the affordability. They have financing options to fit any budget, and you get your upfront quote price, meaning whatever they quote you on site. It's not like they're going to come back later and there's going to be fees and install fees and techs. And no. Whatever that number is that they quote you, boom, that's it. Turnkey installation. When they're done, it is ready to roll if the power goes out. Number 2, that's all they do at Optimize. They're not an electrical business that does 10 different things. They do one thing. They sell, service, and install Generac automatic home standby generators. They got 4 locations across the 10-12 corridor. So it doesn't matter if you're in Lake Charles, Slidell, or any point in between. They are Louisiana's #1 Generac dealer. Optimize. Go to generatorpeople.com. Easy website, generatorpeople.com.
All right. Due for a break. We'll put a button on hour number 2 with Tigers in the Pros, so stay here for that. It's a Friday edition of AFR. We are, of course, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Stay here.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Every home listed by every company, all in one place. You know where to find them. Agent225.com, agent225.com. Talking to all y'all over in Lafayette as well in the 337. Darren James has an office over in Lafayette. If you need to sell your home in the 337, you need Darren James. The #1 realtor in the state of Louisiana, the number 14 realtor in America on the Wall Street Journal's Real Trends list of the top 1% of realtors in America. That came out just a couple of weeks ago. I'm so proud, so fired up for Darren. I've told you for years that he's the best. And Darren has a way of making you feel like, despite all the volume he does, that you are his only client. He's exceptional at the entire process of communicating throughout and getting you results. Number 14 in America on the transaction side. It's Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Glad you're with us. We're brought to you by DraftKings, by the way. Y'all, it's the most wonderful time of year. For getting all the hoops, football, and hockey action at DraftKings Sportsbook. You want to bet on it? Do it at DraftKings. And here's a gift for all new customers. You can bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your $5 bet wins. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code Baton Rouge, one word, Baton Rouge. Again, that's code Baton Rouge for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Happy holidays from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. 21 plus, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Licensee partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles.
All right, put a button here on hour number 2. Let's wrap it up as we always do with Tigers in the Pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
We'll start with some updates. From NFL as we head into the weekend injury reports. Malik Neighbors, you might recall, he's been dealing with a toe injury. He had gone on the record earlier this week saying that he'd be back. Like it's time for him to return. But Neighbors officially listed as questionable on the final Giants injury report with that pesky toe injury. He's got a toe. Elsewhere in the NFL, looking around for former LSU players. For the Panthers, Damian Lewis is questionable. Panthers this weekend facing Tampa Bay. D-Lou, illness and an ankle listed as questionable there for Carolina. Have to wait and see if he can actually, if he'll make his way onto the field there for the Panthers. And then I thought I had one more. Sorry, I'm scrolling this one real time. I looked at it before the show, and now I had to go pull it back up. Nope, that was all. Thought I had one more. I didn't. NBA action a night ago. Ben Simmons, pretty solid night. Plus 16, first of all, on the margin. 29 minutes and a start. 8 points, 9 assists. So just missing a double-double there. Threw in 4 rebounds as well. No, he did not even attempt a 3-point shot. For what it's worth, if you're wondering, Trendon Watford and Cam Thomas both did not play in the game as they still nurse injuries. And if you were watching the Pelicans game last night, first of all, bless you. But second of all, you did not see Tari Eason for the Rockets. Don't look at me like that, Jordan. Don't look at me like that.
No choice. That was a random stray. We didn't need that stray, man.
They don't need a lot of things.
Yeah,
and one of them is to be on the basketball floor currently. It's rough.
We're already mourning.
They're 5-25.
We're already mourning. Okay?
I mean, if you're watching that team, you're a better man than me. I'm just saying.
Got to keep the bills on, man.
Yeah.
Somebody got to pay the bills.
I got to keep the lights on over there in the Smoothie King Center. Yeah, got it. Anyway, Tari Eason also did not play in that game for the Rockets as he continues to nurse a left leg injury. So sparse out there in NBA land for the Tigers and the Pros right now. That is Tigers and the Pros here on a Friday. Jordan, are the Pelicans ever going to win again this year?
That's crazy because I did a video today for the Pelican Scoop, shameless plug on YouTube.
Y'all get subscribed.
Yeah, y'all go subscribe. Dropping content daily, and honestly, what the conclusion I came up with was this is the breaking point. January 3rd and January 5th, they play the Washington Wizards. You can call them the Washington Generals. Basically a back-to-back. All right. So on Friday, January 3rd, the Wizards come to here, and on Sunday they go to the Wizards. If you lose one of those games, Willie Green has to go. All right, it's already bad. Trust me, it's already bad. But if you lose to the Generals, I'm not calling the Wizards, the Generals. The Harlem Globetrotters, Washington Generals, who also have a better record than you right now.
Yes.
If you lose those two games, I said two. If you lose one, heads have to roll. So yes, the Pelicans are going to 2025 with 5 wins. They are not going to win again for the rest of the month. All right. If you want to know who they play for the rest of the month, I got you, Moose. So they play the Grizzlies today. That's an L.
That's not gonna go. Well.
That's an L. And then they got the Clippers on Monday. That's another L.
That's not gonna go well.
Yeah, they're not winning the game the rest of the year.
All right. Well, here's to hoping they do. Flock up, go Pels, and again, if you're watching that team, good on you because that's a tough watch right now. All right, we're gonna grab a break. Come back on the other side. More LSU football. What's the depth chart gonna look like for the Tigers when they face Baylor in the Texas Bowl? That's next.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Supper Club. You can book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild, you can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac, you can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
When you can't rely on technology, you can rely on Mountain Cold Refreshment.
Dave's back on.
Coors Light. Choose chill.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Breaking news, ESPN's Shams Charania reports the Sacramento Kings have fired head coach Mike Brown in his third year on the job. Assistant Doug Christie is expected to be the interim coach. The Seahawks are now 9-7. They'll be hoping for a Cardinals win over the Rams tomorrow to boost their playoff chances. Seattle quarterback Geno Smith.
I'm going to be a big Kyler Murray fan on Saturday, and, if they get it done, they get it done. But we're going to go into this last week of the season with the same mindset no matter what.
Geno Smith, the Seahawks play the Rams a week from Sunday. Warriors guard Steph Curry out for tonight's game against the Clippers to manage soreness in both knees. A bowl game right now on ESPN, the second of 4 in a row. It's the Birmingham Bowl. Late third quarter, Vanderbilt leads Georgia Tech 14-13. Navy beats Oklahoma 21-20 in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. And starting at 6:30 Eastern, we'll have 2 bowl games on ESPN Radio. The Liberty Bowl, followed by the Las Vegas Bowl.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Commercial Insurance. It flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride!
Hour number 3 of After Further Review, off and running here on a Friday, getting ready to send you into your weekend. We are presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Musso in for Moscona. If you're looking for Scone, you won't find him until January 2nd. Our guy left for 2 weeks, said, I'm out of here. But you got me until then. Obviously, we will be off New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So one more show. 4 hours of AFR left in 2024. Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali along for the ride as well. And again, glad you are as well, whether you're just hopping off work, getting in the car, driving home, or if you're hanging out with us still on your holiday break and you're steamrolling towards the new year. Thank you for being a part of the show and making us a part of your day. We have had a jam-packed show so far today, whether led with the Harold Perkins news of him returning to LSU for the 2025 season. LSU gets another one in the transfer portal, a huge get in Josh Thompson, a transfer offensive lineman, versatile guy from Northwestern. We covered all of that in both the previous hours. Sam Spiegelman was here from Rivals, national recruiting analyst, to talk about it all as well. All of that can be found on demand, AFR On Demand. It's brought to you by Brett Goff. Want the LSU content, AFR LSU on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app. Go ahead and search it, and you can find it. And, of course, if you want the whole show, just search After Further Review Again, on your favorite podcast app or also on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. You can get it all there, presented by Brett Goff. Okay. LSU, Baylor, Texas Bowl. When you look at bowl season in today's college football, a giant part of the conversation, not giant, actually, I'd say the main part of the conversation is opt-outs, transfer portal, all those things. Which team's motivated to be there? Which team has the most left on its roster to actually have success and potentially win the game? So, with that being the main conversation point, depth charts always come into focus this time of year. And I thought, being as that we have the end of today and then Monday to really talk about this game and put a button on it, now would be a fantastic time to talk about the depth chart. One reason why is because LSU got even more good news Friday morning, and that was when Greg Penn, senior linebacker, number 18, made it official that he will play in LSU's game against Baylor in Houston, Texas Bowl. I say make it official because, quite honestly, that was something that had just long been assumed. Greg Penn was going out, was out on the field, participating in bowl practice with LSU. You're not really going to do that unless you play. But again, him making it official is a good thing for LSU because now you look at this and you see a linebacking corps that is at full strength. I mean, you'll have Whit Weeks. West Weeks can play in this game as well and it not count towards his eligibility. You have Greg Penn. You have Devon Keys. Like, you've got your guys full strength. It's a veteran player who's played a lot of football, a 3-year starter for LSU, back-to-back 80 tackle seasons, and you're looking at over 250 tackles in his career. That is a boost to LSU's defense. You are better in this bowl game with Greg Penn playing in it. You'll still have your rotation and things of that nature at linebacker. He's not going to be out there every down, but you're better having that unit at full strength. So, as with that a jumping off point and just the conversation that always surrounds bowl games today, let's look at the LSU depth chart. And when I was crafting this and trying to really figure out the way to best attack it, it's like, man, where's LSU the thinnest? But outside of, really call it, 2 positions, LSU isn't thin in this game. Depth they have. You've had 17 departures in the transfer portal, and then you've had certain guys declare their intention for the NFL draft and not play in the game. You've had guys declare their intention and are going to play in the game. A guy like Miles Frazier. But for every Miles Frazier, you have Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Mason Taylor, Kyron Lacey, guys of that stature. So 17 departures and then some guys who are foregoing to prepare for the draft, and in their case, 100% the right call. You have a guy like Garrett Dellinger not going to play. But it doesn't necessarily leave LSU thin, except that really 2 positions, and they intertwine, and I'll talk about that momentarily. LSU has depth. You've got everybody else. What you have is inexperienced depth. And that's a much larger conversation when we look at LSU in this bowl game. And we'll, again, have plenty of time to talk about that when we look at guys you want to see, like a Deshaun Spears, right? Like Tyree Adams, Paul Mubanga, potentially on the offensive line. Get more run for P.J. Woodland, Devon Keys. You'll have all that opportunity to see those guys. So you really have depth there. Jordan Gilbert's going to play and start in the game. You don't know what's going to happen with Major Burns, but Javian Toviano will probably slide down and play star. That's where he repped plenty. So a look at a young guy there. And you'll have Deshaun Spears, who can play deep safety or star. Deshaun Spears actually played deep safety, field safety, and star. He's played every position he could. Along your defensive line, Swinson, Jones, they're going to play. Paris Shand, he's going to play. You feel pretty good there. No official word on Gio Paez. I guess you'll just wait and see. But even then, you have Dom McKinley and Ahmad Bro and young guys, Gabe Relaford, who you've seen emerge and play well when given the opportunity, and this is just another opportunity. On defense, you're pretty stacked. Ashton Stamp, Zy Alexander, P.J. Woodland, they're all playing. On the offense is where it gets interesting. And there's no question where LSU is the thinnest. LSU is the thinnest at tight end. You've got Trey'Dez Green, and that's about it. Giovanni Peterson is the other guy. He's a former walk-on who just earned a scholarship, I believe, in 2023. But Trey'Dez Green, mind you, was moved over to receiver. You had to move him back here in the bowl game because you need that tight end. That raises some questions for me personnel-wise with LSU, and I'll get to those in a moment. Tight end impacts two other positions on this team, though. Wide receiver is one of them. I mean, Aaron Anderson, we know, is going to play. Xavion Thomas, he's going to play. Chris Hilton. Then you have Jelani Watkins, Kylan Billiant, guys like that, but that's pretty much it. Remember, Shelton Sampson left in the portal. Kyle Parker is out for the season. You got 5 guys. You lose one of them goes down, and you're either going to a walk-on or you're moving Trey'Dez Green back over to wide receiver. And then what do you do at tight end? It also impacts the offensive line because we went through this a few weeks ago, and we're looking at LSU and watching all the practice videos, right? They were releasing the practice videos, and you could see Nuss at quarterback, so you knew is who they were repping at first-team offensive line. And from left to right, in those practice videos, it was Tyree Adams, Paul Mubanga, DJ Chester, Bo Bordelon, and Miles Frazier. The interesting thing there is you look at Bo Bordelon, and you look at a guy who has played in all 12 games this season as a redshirt sophomore. The caveat there is that's been at tight end. Remember that whole move earlier in the season, like heading into week 2, when they strapped 89 onto Bo Bordelon and let him just be that extra offensive lineman, the big blocking tight end in that scheme to try and get more push in the run game? Because that was the thing that happened. Now you look at that and it's like, okay, well, Trey'Dez Green out there, not the most experienced blocker. He's been working hard at it. Brian Kelly's commended him as well when he's met with the media on doing the dirty jobs more in these bowl prep. But do you risk coming predictable by formation, having Trey'Dez Green in there at tight end, knowing he's not the strongest blocker, knowing his forte right now in his career is catching the ball? Well, how do you get around that? You need somebody else to play tight end. Is that going to end up being Bo Bordelon? Now, again, you become predictable by formation in that situation. That's not something that you want to do. So I think LSU will avoid that at all costs. But Bo Bordelon has spent most of his time playing that attached tight end and just to be like an extra offensive lineman, a sixth offensive lineman. So if he goes to that role, what do you do at guard? And look, the very obvious answer there is Cohen Eccles, because they have been incredibly high on Cohen Eccles all season as a backup. He's played in 4 games. He can preserve his red shirt, which is fantastic, and play in this game with no repercussion towards his eligibility. A high 4-star that they flipped out of Texas A&M signing class back in 2023. That's the very obvious choice as to where you would go, because if you look at others, at the guard spot, you're looking at guys who just haven't even played. So those 3 positions are very intertwined here for LSU in the bowl game. You're a turned ankle away of being thin at wide receiver because you really only have 5. And tight end, you have Trey'Dez Green and Giovanni Peterson, who's a former walk-on. You might need Bo Bordelon there as well. And that's where he's played. That's where it's going to be really, really interesting to watch LSU. Because if they are to win this game against Baylor, they're going to have to score points. I think LSU's defense is going to have a pretty good day against Baylor, but LSU's defense is still LSU's defense this year, and they're still limited. Baylor's going to score. They're going to get theirs, and LSU's going to have to be able to match it. But with a makeshift offensive line that could see further shuffling in the game, that's something to watch. And a wide receiver room that is a hair or turned ankle away from being thin, that's something to watch. It'll be interesting to see how LSU fares, but defensively, the depth chart, you're pretty good. Offensively, you definitely have some questions. All right, we're going to grab a break. We're going to come back on the other side. Saints Raiders in the Dome on Sunday. We'll get a closer look at the Raiders. Adam Hill will join the show and tell us everything that we need to know. That's next here on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Great time for you to get by Rouse's right now. We're moving into Christmas week. If you haven't done it yet and you're planning your Christmas Day or Christmas Eve celebration or whatever party, Rouse's has got you covered. Go to the website right there at Rouse's.com or on the Rouse's app. You can hit the weekly ad tab right there. It'll give you all of the specials, all of the bonuses and the savings right now over at Rouse's. So you want to save as you're putting together your holiday meal for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. You could do it over at Rouse's, any of their 70 some odd locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach, Alabama, and points in between. Seems like every day they open up a new Rouse's. Make sure you save, you shop save, and you shop local there at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Your main course, they have catering options as well. Maybe you want some wine for the whole family. Try some new interesting wines. The more you buy, the more you save at Rouse's. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
We have Adam. Saints Raiders in the Dome on Sunday noon kickoff home finale in the regular season for the black and gold. Everything we need to know about the Raiders. We welcome on Adam Hill from the Las Vegas Review-Journal. You can find him on Twitter at Adam Hill LVRJ. He's been a good contributor to the show anytime we've needed Raider news. Adam, it's great to have you back. How are you?
I am good. Enduring a pretty terrible season of football games, but it's almost over, so that's good.
Hey, you and me both, pal. This is one that it feels like they're playing because the schedule says that they have to. Let's start there, big picture with the Raiders. I mean, I went back and looked it up earlier. Their preseason win total was 6.5. So I mean, the expectations weren't high, but they're sitting here at 3-12. I mean, it's 3.5 below your total. How did it end up this bad for the Raiders in 2024?
Well, I mean, you might be asking the wrong person because I think while everyone else thought that 6.5 was way too low, I actually thought it was too high.
Yeah.
I never thought they were going to be good, and I thought the Antonio Pierce experiment was going to be a bit of a disaster, and it has been. But yeah.
So, I mean, is the writing on the wall there with Antonio Pierce? Is there any way he's back with the Raiders again in 2025? Did we lose Adam? Adam, are you there?
You got me?
Yeah, I got you there. Okay, I'm sorry.
I have an echo, but I'm here.
Okay.
There's a chance. The argument he's going to make is that he wanted a quarterback and he doesn't have one. And that'll be the argument he makes in the offseason to try to keep his job.
All right. Well, we'll see how that transpires. Let's switch it to the game a little bit here. Brock Bowers, I feel like you have to start there. I mean, looking at this, he's far and away the leading receiver, 30 more receptions, about 30 more targets, like 220 yards more than the next guy. How has he been able to keep the production up when teams obviously know he's getting the football?
Yeah, I think part of it is that he's really, really good. He's very good at getting creating space when it's in line of scrimmage, getting separation. He's really good at that, and he's hasn't dropped a whole lot of balls, and he's been a guy that can take something with the ball and turn it upfield and create something afterwards. But I think the real problem is they just don't have anything else, especially after trading Devontae Adams, and it's just been a lot of feeding him the ball, even if it's only gaining 3, 4, or 5 yards at a time. Eventually, he breaks through and picks up yardage, but as good as he's been, it hasn't translated to success. And I think that's the biggest thing to look at. Teams have just said, yeah, go ahead and get your 10 catches, and you're not going to do enough with it to beat us, and enjoy that.
What's been wrong with the Raiders' running game this season? Because, I mean, I look and I see some guys that have had some success in the past in the NFL. How come they haven't been able to get that going on the offensive side?
Yeah, I think it started with a miscalculation. I mean, I think Zamir White's really talented, down from SEC country. A lot of people might remember him, from Georgia. Really talented guy, but he didn't fit the scheme. And I think a lot of people said that. You're bringing in Luke Getsy. He's got a zone scheme that's not really going to fit Zamir White. You're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and that's exactly what happened. And it didn't work out. The offensive line didn't really love the scheme. It wasn't really right for the personnel. And they just tried to force it. I mean, it just was never going to happen. And then all of a sudden they find a guy in Sincere McCormick who's really, really talented. People are very excited about it. And then after 2 games as the starter of productive play, he's hurt. And it's over for him. So, Alexander Madison is fine. Amir Abdullah is fine as a veteran, catches balls out of the backfield. But there was just never any explosive plays. And it just wasn't going to happen. They never got a jump started. They tried to force it early in the season. Now they've just kind of given up on it.
Chatting with Adam Hill, Las Vegas Review-Journal, getting a preview of the Raiders. Of course, they'll take on the Saints Sunday in the Dome, home finale down there in the Big Easy. Let's flip sides of the ball. Let's flip sides of the ball and head over to the Raiders defense because they have had some success on this side of the ball. Specifically, it looks like against the pass, which is going to be interesting because obviously they'll be facing Spencer Rattler making his 5th career start. How tough is that matchup for Rattler and the Saints against the Raiders secondary?
I think it'll be pretty tough. I mean, they've lost some pieces, so they're not the same team they thought they'd be early in the year. Christian Wilkins, big free agent acquisition, goes down in week 2. Max Crosby's been out a few weeks. He's done for the year. That's up front with their pass rush. But they're still generating a little bit. They found a guy like Kalavon Chase on, kind of a cast-off former first-round pick of the Jaguars. He's been good. Down from your part of the country. So he's been pretty good. Charles Snowden is kind of a guy that they found. He's been okay up front. So they've generated a pass rush. Tyree Wilson is here and there spotty as a former first-round pick, but he's doing some things too. And then On the back end, you got a guy like Jack Jones, who's a playmaker. Isaiah Pola-Mao, AFC Defensive Player of the Week, kind of a very unheralded guy, but he's found a way. I think the key is Patrick Graham, really good defensive coordinator. I think potentially a future head coach. He's been good. He's kept them in line. And, this is a team that was solid but not spectacular, and they had only created 5 turnovers through 12 games. That the players only meeting where the defense said apparently the key words were enough is enough. We're going to start getting the ball. The last 3 weeks they forced 6 turnovers, and they've been very respectable. And I think that's certainly what they can hang their hat on at this point, if there's anything.
You mentioned the pass rush there, and that's actually where I was going to go next, because the Saints, once again, have injuries and players out along the offensive line, because that's just been the story of their season. Obviously, you're not better without Max Crosby on the field, but that is still a group that they feel good about being able to generate pressure and maybe take advantage of a wounded Saints offensive line?
Yeah, I think they've done some things schematically. In the interior of the defensive line, they've got some really veteran players. Adam Butler, who's trying to play for a contract, and he was very clear about that before the season. He said, "Look, I've been a good player, and everybody kind of calls me underrated every year, but this is the year I kind of make a name for myself." And he's been good. He's been a pretty good player for them. And I mentioned some of the other names on the outside. Like they've found success here and there. I don't think anybody's been a dominant player for long stretches, but you have a game here where it's Tyree Wilson, a game here where it's K'Lavon Chase on, and they found a way to make it work. Like they're not going to blow you away with their sack numbers, but they're not going to let a quarterback just sit in the pocket and pick them apart. And I think that's kind of been the key to the defense.
When we look at the game itself, and you're looking for the Raiders to come in and get a win, it'd be back-to-back.
Why?
Well, yeah, I know. I mean, they kind of screwed up and did that last week, right, against Jacksonville. But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about is what worked well for them in that. I mean, they broke a 10-game losing streak, Adam. I don't have to tell you. Yeah. You cover the team. But what worked well for them in that game that could translate over and work well again against the Saints?
Well, did you say what worked well for them? They played Jackson.
That's fair. No, that's fair. Yeah.
that was the key.
The Jags aren't good.
I guess now the answer is, no offense, but they're playing the Saints.
Yeah. None taken.
Yeah, that's what's going to work well for them. I think, they did some positive things. Aiden O'Connell is serviceable. I mean, I guess that's as far as I would go with it. He can move the chains, and he put together a really nice drive to take the lead in the fourth quarter, and then all credit to him for another drive that killed 7 minutes off the clock and almost ran out the clock to get the victory. That's winning football. They did positive things, but again, they were playing Jacksonville, and I think that was why they were able to find success in the end. And as much talk as there's about tanking, the fans are upset about them winning. I think it's very, very bad for the organization overall that they won. Like, those players deserved it. They've been working hard. They haven't been blown out despite all the losses. And, they needed to find something to validate their hard work. And I think they were able to do that. You got to feel good for them in that regard, even if it's very bad for the long-term future of the organization.
He is Adam Hill. Saints will face the Raiders in the Dome on Sunday, noon kickoff. Again, you can follow him on Twitter at Adam Hill, LVRJ, part of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, covers the Raiders and the Golden Knights. Adam, we appreciate the time as always. Enjoy the football, and we'll catch up again down the road.
Yeah, we will try. I think it'd be better if they just scrapped the game and had like a shot contest on Bourbon Street or something.
Hey, man, I'm down for that. I mean, I'm good. Like I said, I think they have to play this one just because the schedule dictates it at this point. But they'll do it nonetheless. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Our pleasure. That is, again, Adam Hill, Las Vegas Review-Journal. Earlier during a break, I was telling Jordan Cassidy, I have to make a pick on this game in, I don't know, like 32 and a half minutes, and I still don't know who I'm going to pick in this game.
Still don't know?
No, it's such a hodgepodge of awful that it is. Don't look at me like that. Neither of these teams are good.
Dude, I thought we agreed on the coin flip.
Oh, well, yeah, the coin flip, but, I mean...
It's a pick 'em. This is a pick 'em. Let's call it what it is.
Jordan, see, here's the problem with the coin flip. I'm going to tell you the problem with the coin flip. Eventually, you have to decide a winner, like heads or tails. Well, who are you going to call in the air? Or are you just going to let it, you just put on one on heads, one on tails, and flip?
Just got to.
All right, we do it that way?
Yeah, we have to beforehand pick which side is heads or tails. Flip the coin, like we say, man. It's a pick 'em game. It's not like, it's a pick 'em. So flip the coin, man. I think that's what we should do.
You got a coin? I don't have a coin.
Unfortunately, I do not have a coin on.
All right,
my
then I guess I'll
fingers.
just decide here in the next 31 minutes or so who I think is going to win this game that is just a hodgepodge of awful that will take place in the Superdome on Sunday.
Did Adam at least give you anything to ponder on?
A little bit, but not anything that I wasn't already kind of thinking about. Like their pass rush, even without Max Crosby, bothers me just because the Saints their offensive line is injured again. It's been injured all year.
Yeah.
And Spencer Rattler was pressured on like more than half of his dropbacks against the Packers. So
the whole game basically.
Yeah, I mean, so like I kind of expected that still. It's interesting, you know,
Told you, man, got to flip that coin.
Unfortunately, I was just talking it out and thinking about it in my head, and I think it's becoming more clear to me, and we'll give the prediction at the end of the show. Yeah. All right. We're going to grab a break. LSU plays a basketball game on Sunday against Mississippi Valley State. I don't have many thoughts on that, but I'll give you a few when we come back. That's next. AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
AFR.
Brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. You know, when we talk about Relief Windows every day, I always say windows, doors, siding. And now shutters as well. They do your indoor shutters. Same thing as the windows. Custom made, measured to fit your windows, custom fit for your windows, lifetime warranty on your windows, your shutters. But Brandon, you often hear say their number one product is customer satisfaction. And that's not just a catchy line. That's not a cliche phrase. Have an experience with Relief Windows and you'll understand. They go to the ends of the earth to make sure their customers are thrilled with the work they do. As a matter of fact, Relief Windows never takes a dollar from you. You will not, no deposit, no down payment. They take all the risk. They will not take a dollar until you're thrilled with the work they do. Who else does that? Only Relief Windows. Check them out online at ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
Man, y'all go check out Duplessis Builders on Facebook or Instagram. Whenever they finish a project, they'll post pictures of their completed project, pictures and videos. Man, they just finished a gorgeous pool for one of their clients, and I could not recommend highly enough you go check it out, because you'll see the amazing, gorgeous work that they do, the pristine craftsmanship over at Duplessis Builders. You know, yes, like we always say, you're going to have this beautiful pool, outdoor kitchen, which differentiates itself from most. But when it comes to Duplessis Builders, the thing that above all stands out is their workmanship. A 10-year workmanship guarantee when the industry standard is 1 year. It's because they don't cut corners. They built something beautiful that's meant to last. It's Duplessis Builders. Online, duplessisbuilders.net, duplessisbuilders.net.
LSU basketball, Matt McMahon and the boys, they're going to look for win number 11 Sunday when they welcome in Mississippi Valley State, the Delta Devils. And chances are LSU's going to get win number 11 because Mississippi Valley State is absolutely atrocious. They are a brutal basketball team that is 2-10 and do not have a win this season over an actual Division I basketball team. They are dead last in the net ranking, 364th out of 364. You literally can't get worse than that. This is one that LSU should win and should win handily, and it's one, honestly, that you kind of wish was not on your schedule because it benefits you in no way. With them being that poor in the net, this game benefits you in no way. It can only hurt you if, and it's a big if, you were to somehow stub your toe and lose. There is nothing that I think I'm going to learn about LSU in this basketball game. What I want to see most is them stay healthy. Get everybody in, get everybody out, so you can head into SEC play as close to full strength as you can be. Obviously, you don't have Jalen Reed for the year. Obviously, Tyrell Ward's not with the team. We know all of that. Get in, get out as healthy as you can. Finish your non-conference 11-2 and head into SEC play. See if you can win 9, maybe 10 games. Punch your ticket to the big dance. That's where the focus should be going forward. If there were ever a game that you should, not saying they can and will, should be able to go through the motions and come out with a easy, convincing win, it is this ballgame. Mississippi Valley State is bad. I mentioned, this is really kind of what I wanted to talk about in the segment anyway, that they're 2-10 on the year, and they have not beaten a Division I basketball team. But they have 2 wins. Jordan, Cassie, can either of you, without looking and cheating,
yes,
name the 2 schools that Mississippi Valley State has beaten in 2024?
Okay, I feel like Cassie should go first because I kind of have a concept of the second team. But the first squad, okay, I have no clue. No clue.
I have no idea. Hunt even mentioned it earlier,
Yeah.
and I already forgot.
Okay.
One of them sounds like a high school.
Okay, first one, man, I'm going to say it was like Milkman University or something. Something like that. It's some.
Wasn't the Milkman? That's Texas A&M, by the way.
Okay. I know the second school, though. I'm trying to think of the first one. The second school was it's like the Little Sisters of the Poor. Yeah, something like that.
It was a women's school, but it's not a women's school anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So they've beaten Oakwood, which sounds like a high school.
That's a mall in New Orleans, by the way.
Yeah, I was saying, I could not tell you. If all you're giving me is Oakwood,
yes,
I could throw a dart at the map and have a better chance of hitting where Oakwood is than me actually telling you where I think Oakwood is.
Yes.
And the other one is the Mississippi University for Women.
Oh, okay.
Which is no longer just for women.
I said the Little Sisters of the Poor.
But when you look at a schedule, and it's a men's basketball schedule, and you see the Mississippi University for Women,
yes,
that raises your eyebrows a little bit right there.
It makes me wonder, what's the mascot?
The Owls. I can tell you that. Because when I saw this, Jordan, I was like, well, wait a minute. I got to figure out something about the Mississippi University for Women. And so I figured out their mascot, the Owls. And they did not score 50 points against Mississippi Valley State, which tells you they're really, really bad. Also, I'd like to know how long that school has been co-ed and why they have not changed the name of the university. That
it's kind of provocative, man. It gets the people going.
Well, okay, fine, but I also can just imagine it's pretty exhausting to have to explain that every time when someone asks you, "Hey, where do you go to college?" and you say the Mississippi University for Women, and you're not a woman.
Yeah,
I would imagine that people look at you a little funny, Jordan. I mean, I can't confirm or deny that because I didn't go there, but I'm just hypothesizing here.
I think we can confirm that. You know, especially if you play sports. It's like, what do you play ball at, man? You know, I hoop at Mississippi Women.
Do they have a football team? I play football for the Mississippi University for Women.
For women. We're not good, but
we're not good.
You know, we just for the love of the game.
Well, actually, they are, because in looking up about them, they're 4-6. They got a better record than Mississippi Valley State. Again, different level of competition, I understand, but I
got to see who they play now. I got to see who they play.
They have a guy on their team named Chris. Oh gosh, what was it? Chris Evans. Nah, different Chris Evans, but his name is Chris
America?
Evans. No, this is different. This guy has red hair and a tattoo sleeve on his arm.
And he's probably, 6-year student at this point.
Probably something like that. Yeah.
School.
They did put up 91 against Oakwood. That's their best output of the season. And then after that, they played a bunch of power conference opponents in their non-conference, and they've gotten absolutely destroyed. And that's honestly what LSU should do as well. But yeah.
Question for you though, Muse. Before we keep going, do you think they can score 50 on LSU?
LSU's been really good defensively this year, and specifically around the perimeter. If LSU were to keep their starters in the game the entire time, I would tell you no.
Ooh,
but LSU is not going to keep their starters in the entire time, and they'll probably run up some score late in the ballgame. So I will say, yes, they do get above 50.
Ooh.
But LSU should have – I mean, look, this team beat the Mississippi University for Women and Oakwood. Yes. Please go in there, win by 30, and just keep everybody healthy and get into SEC play. That's literally all I care about when it comes to Saturday in the Maravich Center. All right. We're going to grab a break, but first, got to hit another live read. It's a fan favorite here on AFR. Matt's going to tell you about Shaw Bills.
Brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shaw Bills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires, the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good you're going to keep coming back year after year after year every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil changed, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shaw Bills. Let them give it the once-over, and you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawBillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com. Shop tires online at ShawBillsTire.com. Be sure to ask about the Shaw Bills credit card as well, because you can save $50 off your first purchase when you use the Shaw Bills credit card only at Shaw Bills.
All right. We have one segment to go. It's a Saints-Raiders prediction because they're going to play the game, so I have to make a pick on it. And I have decided. I know who I'm going to pick in this game finally. It literally took me just about the entire 3 hours of being on air and plus part of the day before that to decide. But I've made my decision, and I'll tell you who it is next on AFR.
After further review.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. I love sharing 5-star Google reviews. Here's one from Ricky Gomez, who said Chris, his technician, was very professional and knowledgeable during the HVAC evaluation. He provided details and recommendations in a clear and concise manner. That's one of the things that always stands out. If you're having an issue with your AC or your heater, and River City's 1 Hour Air sends out a technician for an evaluation, they're going to explain your options to you. And that may sound simple, but none of it, I don't know anything about an HVAC, neither do you. Let's be honest. So whenever they go get up in your attic or they go look at your HVAC unit on the side of your house and they come talk to you, they're going to explain very clearly what's happening and your options to remedy it. It's River City's 1 Hour Air. Look for the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side. 752-0001.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar.
For the last 3.5 years, I've told you, do business with someone you know. And that's still the case. It's just we've got a new company. It's Parish Construction and Roofing. But it's all still the same people. It's me, it's Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley and Joe Morales, all the way down to Christina in our office, who when you call, that's who you talk to, and the same friendly crews that come actually do the work at your home. It's our same team. We just started a new company, Parrish Construction and Roofing. You can give us a shout. We even have the same number, 364-1007, 364-1007, or parrishbuilt.com, parrishbuilt.com. Roof repairs, roof replacements, from the smallest residential repair to the largest commercial roof replacement. We do it all, and we do it friendly with a smile, and we are here. We are local. We are Parrish Construction and Roofing. Do business with someone you know. Parrishbuilt.com. That's parrishbuilt.com.
All right, the Saints will play the Raiders on Sunday because the NFL says that they have to. These are two very bad football teams. The Raiders coming in off of a win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are now 3-12 on the season thanks to that victory. Of course, we know the New Orleans Saints coming in off of the 34-0 blowout loss against the Green Bay Packers on Monday Night Football. They are 5-10 on the season. Two teams that expectations weren't really high for in general, but two teams that have still somehow underachieved and finished below even the low expectations. But again, they're going to play the game. So we'll break it down and try to give you a pick here. And I've literally gone back and forth on this one all day long. It's just, it's a tough game to pick because you could make a case for both sides. When you look at the Raiders, one thing that they have an advantage in, and we talked about this with Adam Hill when he was here earlier in the show, is on the defensive side of the ball in certain areas of the game. I mean, if you're just looking at the Raiders from a scoring defense perspective, they rank near the bottom of the NFL. But their secondary has been really good. In fact, the secondary ranks top 10 in pass defense in the NFL. That bodes well against the New Orleans Saints. Because who you throwing the football to at this point? You know, Chris Olave was a full participant at practice all week. He's questionable. I'm not expecting to see Chris Olave in this game. And even if by some chance you do, which would be absurd, the guy hasn't played in almost a month. Actually, I'm sorry, more than a month. There'd be rust. It's just not there, and I'm not expecting him to play. So you've got Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and who else? The passing game, it has not been fruitful. Since Rashid Shaheed went down, since you lost Taysom Hill, then Chris Olave, like you've gotten gutted there. And now you're going to face a defense that's top 10 in the NFL against the pass with Spencer Rattler at quarterback, who albeit has shown signs at some points throughout this season that doesn't necessarily bode well for you. The other thing is something else we talked about with Adam Hill earlier in the show. And that's this banged up Saints offensive line going up against a Raiders pass rush that has still been serviceable even without Max Crosby. And look, I understand. Again, you're not better without Max Crosby on the field, but the interior of your line is once again a shuffle, and you have Trevor Penning and then a rookie, Taliesin Fuanga, outside at your tackle spots. The Packers defense, their pass rush is better than the Raiders. But you saw Spencer Rattler be under constant pressure on Monday night. You're dealing with a short week if you're the New Orleans Saints. Now, you don't have to travel, so that's a plus. When I look at this from a Saints perspective, what they have to do in this game to win, you have got to finish drives with touchdowns. No field goals. You have to finish drives with touchdowns. And you have got to steal possessions. And the other thing is Brock Bowers. Let's kind of take them one by one. Finishing drives with touchdowns. Shout out to Ross Jackson over at LouisianaSports.net. He put up this great piece, statistics to know for the game against the Saints. He highlighted point differential. The Saints are minus 37 in point differential. They were hovering around single digits in the plus-minus until the Packers game. That skewed everything. So they've actually been pretty good there, and a lot of that is finishing drives. Whereas the Raiders are minus 126. They're not very good. Finish your drives. figure out a way to stop Brock Bowers. It's been real difficult. The guy has been incredible as a rookie. Over 1,000 yards. He's got 30 more receptions, 30 more targets, 220 more yards than the next closest receiver, and he leads the team in receiving touchdowns. And you know what? The Saints have been really, really bad against tight ends this year. Dallas Goedert went for 170 on you. Travis Kelce went for 70-plus yards. For God's sakes, Jatavian Sanders for the Panthers ate you alive from the tight end position. The list goes on and on and on and on. Njoku got you. Kyle Pitts, the second time around, got you pretty good. Tucker Kraft on Monday night got you pretty good. You have to figure out a way to do that. I don't know if they can. They don't have anyone really that can guard the tight end. And the Raiders have shown an ability, even when everyone and their mom knows that Brock Bowers is getting the ball, they've shown the ability to still get him the football. The other thing is steal possessions, force turnovers. That might be the greatest advantage that the Saints have in this football game. I actually think that it is the greatest advantage that the Saints have in this football game. -1 in the turnover margin. When you look at the Raiders, they are -17. The Saints have to be on the positive side of the turnover margin to have any chance of winning this game. But on the flip side of that is when the Saints offense has been at its best, you've had Eric McCoy and you've had a healthy running game as well. You do not have either of those things in this football game. And that's why it's going to be a very low-scoring affair, and stealing possessions is going to be huge. I just look at the Saints offense, and I don't know how they really score much in this football game. I look at the Raiders offense. I don't know how they score much in this game, but I think they can score more than the Saints. The Raiders are a favorite in this game for a reason. And I think that they do come into the Dome and get it done. I'll take Vegas 16-10. I think it's going to be that ugly. But give me the Raiders. And I hope I'm wrong, because the Saints' draft position is set. I mean, they're picking 9, 10, 11, that range. So, hell, see if you can get a win if you can. But I like the Raiders 16-10 to beat the Saints at home in the home finale in the regular season. All right, that is just about going to do it here for a Friday edition of AFR. Great show, man. Thank you to Sam Spiegelman, to Zach Smith, to Adam Hill, all for joining us. If you missed anything, catch it on demand. AFR On Demand, brought to you by Brett Goff. One more show to go here in 2024. That's on Monday. Thank you to Jordan. Thank you to Cassie. Y'all be here Monday with us for more AFR.
After further review.
AFR is brought to you by First South Farm Credit. You know where to start. Your first call, your first visit, your first option when it comes to buying land in Louisiana is First South Farm Credit. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be land in Louisiana, because First South Farm Credit can help you buy land in any of the contiguous 48. And they've got more than 40 branches in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So if you're right here in the Southeast, there's First South Farm Credit locations all near you. But remember, like, for example, let's say a lot of our audience in New Orleans, of course. You're living in New Orleans, maybe you're starting to build a family, grow a family. You want to move to the North Shore like a lot of people do. You want to buy the 100 acres in Tangipahoa. You can, and First South Farm Credit can help because they have an office in Amite. So you can walk in there, you can do business with someone who talks like you, lives where you live, and help you buy land wherever you want to buy land in the contiguous 48. It's First South Farm Credit. If you're thinking of buying land, your first call, your first option should be First South Farm Credit. FirstSouthLand.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.